For days, the rhetoric out of Washington and Jerusalem pointed toward a single outcome: a massive regional war. The military objective was explicitly stated: the total collapse of the Iranian regime. The pressure from the White House was absolute. President Trump issued final deadlines and warned that a failure to meet his terms would result in the end of civilization. But then, almost without warning, the aggression stopped. The U.S. and Iran suddenly agreed to a 15-day conditional ceasefire brokered by Pakistan, with formal negotiations shifting immediately to Islamabad. The global markets reacted instantly. Crude oil, which had been surging toward $120 a barrel, plummeted below $95 the moment the pause was announced. When a superpower amasses overwhelming military force and then halts the campaign to talk, it raises a difficult question: who actually forced this pause? Immediately following the announcement, Tehran pivoted to a narrative of absolute strategic victory. This claim stands against a grim physical reality. Iran's infrastructure had just endured a sustained bombardment, with significant destruction reported in its urban centers. We have to look at how a smaller nation, having just suffered severe airstrikes, can credibly claim to have beaten the United States. Success in this conflict is governed by the mechanics of asymmetric warfare. In these matchups, opposing powers have vastly unequal resources and completely different conditions for winning. The United States pursued a maximalist objective: the total collapse of the Iranian state. Iran's objective was simpler. In an asymmetric fight, survival against the onslaught is the only metric that matters. Because the Iranian regime absorbed the American strikes and remained in power, they fulfilled their primary strategic goal. Under these rules, Tehran achieved a technical victory. Tehran managed this survival by exerting pressure on three specific American vulnerabilities. First, they demonstrated a credible threat to the Strait of Hormuz, the primary artery for the world's energy supply. By signaling they could block this passage, Iran effectively weaponized global supply chains. Next, Tehran targeted the U.S. domestic political calendar. With the midterm elections approaching, the spike in oil prices created a direct risk for the White House. Surging inflation and a destabilized market right before a vote would likely result in heavy losses for the president's party. Finally, Iran activated its regional network of proxy militias across Lebanon, Iraq, and Syria. The Pentagon realized that these groups made a quick, decisive victory impossible. Instead, the U.S. was facing a sprawling, multi-front war with no clear exit strategy. The combination of economic pressure, mounting political risk, and a military quagmire eventually forced the superpower to the negotiating table. The extent of Iran's leverage is visible in the 10-point proposal they drafted as the baseline for the Islamabad talks. Tehran demands lifting sanctions, releasing frozen assets, and full compensation for destroyed infrastructure. In exchange, they offer to pause their nuclear program and keep the Strait of Hormuz open. The audacity of these terms shows that even after a sustained bombing campaign, Iran held enough leverage to dictate the baseline of the current negotiations. Internally, the standoff has strengthened the regime's position. It has used the ceasefire to boost domestic morale and project an image of resilience against Western military power. However, this pause is highly precarious. The ceasefire lasts only 15 days and can be reversed by either side at any time. Several volatile elements remain unaddressed. Israel is not a formal party to the agreement, and regional proxy forces remain on high alert throughout the ceasefire. There is also no clear timeline for the withdrawal of American forces from the region. While the calculus of asymmetric warfare allowed Iran to survive this round, the underlying regional tensions have not been resolved. The conflict is currently paused, but it is not over.